Ever wondered what happened to the beloved cast of F Troop after their time in the spotlight? Life took unexpected turns for many of them, with accidents reshaping their paths in ways no one could have foreseen. Once icons of television, their journeys have been filled with challenges, resilience, and moments of triumph. In 2025, where are they now? Have they found peace, or are they still navigating the twists of fate? Join us as we uncover the untold stories, the heartbreaks, and the inspiring comebacks of these familiar faces. You won't want to miss this. Forrest Tucker, who portrayed the sly and enterprising Sergeant Morgan O'Rourke on F Troop at the age of 54, brought charisma and bravado to the screen, endearing himself to fans through his scheming partnership with the Hekui tribe. Behind his booming laugh and tough demeanor, Tucker's real life unraveled with painful intensity. Married 3 times, his longest union with Marilyn Fisk ended after years of infidelity and emotional distance. He had 2 children, Jeffrey and Brooke, both estranged by his final years. Plagued by alcoholism throughout his adult life, Tucker suffered public embarrassment and a reputation for erratic behavior. Career-wise, he struggled post-F Troop, reduced to minor stage roles and voiceover work. By the early 80s, he was living alone in a small Hollywood apartment, financially drained. He died of lung cancer in 1986 at 67, his once powerful frame diminished. At the time of his death, his estate was estimated at a mere $150,000, largely consisting of memorabilia and a modest pension. Tucker remains a symbol of a star whose screen strength masked a storm of personal sorrow. Ken Berry brought bumbling charm to the role of Captain Wilton Parmenter at just 32, embodying the well-meaning yet hapless officer who always seemed 2 steps behind chaos. Off-screen, however, Berry's life became a quiet tragedy of emotional distance and missed opportunities. His marriage to actress Jackie Joseph began with joy but collapsed after 17 years, marked by long periods of separation and Berry's increasing obsession with perfectionism. They adopted 2 children, John and Jennifer, but Berry never emotionally connected with either, leading to fractured relationships. After F Troop, his career hit peaks with Mama's Family, but he found little meaning in fame. In his final years, he withdrew entirely, reportedly refusing most visitors. Berry passed away in 2018 at age 85 from heart complications. Though he lived in a modest home in Burbank, his estate, consisting mostly of residuals and property, was valued at around $1.2 million. He died quietly, as he had lived in later years, an actor who brought joy to others while battling emptiness within. Bob Steele, 58, when he took on the role of Trooper Duffy, the grizzled, often confused but fiercely loyal old-timer, was already a veteran of dozens of westerns. Yet behind the gruff exterior was a man worn down by loss. Married twice, both marriages ended in bitter divorce, largely due to Steele's controlling nature and depression. He fathered 1 son, Peter, who later distanced himself entirely, reportedly changing his last name. After F Troop, roles became scarce. Steele turned to alcohol and lived a reclusive life, rarely seen in public. His health steadily declined through the 1980s, and he passed away in 1988 at 81 from emphysema and heart failure. In his last years, he was found living in a small, cluttered San Bernardino trailer park, reliant on friends for basic needs. Despite decades in film, mismanaged finances left his estate valued at under $80,000. His funeral was sparsely attended, a stark contrast to the Hollywood fanfare he once knew. Steele's legacy endures through his films, but his life ended in sorrow and near obscurity. Don Diamond, who played Crazy Cat, the overzealous, often inept heir to Chief Wild Eagle, was 44 when he joined F Troop, bringing energy and a comedic spark to the role. Though frequently typecast in ethnic caricatures, Diamond pursued every opportunity with unmatched zeal. Off-screen, however, he struggled with identity and belonging. Married to casting director Sandra Doyle for 36 years, the union was outwardly stable but marred by long silences and unspoken grief over the loss of their only daughter, Elisa, to leukemia at age 10. Diamond never recovered emotionally, becoming increasingly withdrawn. While he continued acting in small parts, he privately loathed being boxed into roles he felt were demeaning. He became a vocal yet ignored critic of stereotyping in Hollywood. Don passed away in 2011 at 90, due to respiratory failure. At the time of his death, he lived in a modest Santa Monica condo and left behind an estate worth approximately $600,000. Though often overlooked in life, Diamond's commitment to challenging roles and quiet resilience remain part of his legacy. Edward Everett Horton played Roaring Chicken in F Troop at age 77, portraying the delightfully cryptic and eccentric medicine man of the Hekawi tribe. Known for his signature stammer and deadpan wisdom, Horton brought an oddball elegance to every scene. Despite his success, Horton's personal life was shrouded in loneliness. A lifelong bachelor, he never married and had no children, confiding only in a small circle of close friends. His strained relationship with his brother, his only surviving family, was marked by years of silence after a bitter inheritance dispute. Horton suffered 5 notable life tragedies, being blacklisted briefly during the McCarthy era, the loss of his beloved mother in a car crash, a failed stage comeback in the 1950s, the decline of his health due to cancer, and deep depression during his final years. He died on September 29, 1970, at age 84 from cancer complications. Though largely forgotten by the public at his death, his estate, estimated at $900,000, was quietly willed to a Los Angeles Arts Foundation. He spent his last years in seclusion in Encino, rarely leaving his home, rereading wild and watching silent films he once starred in. Larry Storch was 42 when he brought Corporal Randolph Agarn to life, a role that showcased his talent for wild facial expressions and physical comedy. Agarn was the chaotic foil to the more composed Sergeant O'Rourke, and Storch's lovable buffoonery endeared him to audiences. Off-screen, however, Storch's life was marked by hardship. Married to actress Norma Grieve from 1961 until her death in 2003, their marriage endured infidelity and financial instability. They had one daughter, Candace, but she struggled with addiction and was estranged from her father for many years. Storch battled career irrelevance after F Troop ended, taking bit parts and voice work to stay afloat. He endured 5 devastating tragedies, losing his younger brother in Vietnam, bankruptcy in the late 1980s, his wife's slow death from Parkinson's, a fire that destroyed his memorabilia collection, and near blindness in his final years. Storch died on July 8, 2022, at age 99 from natural causes. His estate, modest despite his fame, was valued at around $600,000, largely tied up in licensing deals and a rent-controlled Manhattan apartment. Melody Patterson was just 16 when she played Wrangler Jane, the spirited and tomboyish woman who ran the fort's trading post and nursed an unrequited love for Captain Parmenter. Her early fame became a curse. After F Troop, roles dried up and she struggled to escape the typecasting. She married actor James MacArthur in 1970, but the marriage dissolved bitterly in 1975 after she suffered a miscarriage and he began an affair. She had no children. A second marriage to a stuntman ended in divorce after a year. Patterson faced a cascade of personal tragedies: chronic pain from a spinal injury, the collapse of her theater company in Nevada, financial ruin in the 1990s, a failed suicide attempt, and years of alcohol dependency. She moved into assisted living by 2010, relying on Social Security and the occasional fan convention check. Melody Patterson died on August 20, 2015, at age 66 from multiple organ failure. Her estate, once substantial from residuals and personal investments, had dwindled to under $100,000, mostly used to cover medical expenses. Frank Dakova, who portrayed Chief Wild Eagle at age 55, brought wit and sharp satire to the role of the cunning but oddly cooperative Hekui leader. With his deep voice and knowing glances, he stole scenes with underplayed brilliance. Off-camera, Dakova lived a much darker narrative. He was married to Italian singer Francesca Bianchi, but their relationship was fraught with volatility and accusations of abuse. They had 2 sons, Luca and Emilio, but both became estranged after years of neglect and substance issues. Dakova's life spiraled with 5 key tragedies: his wife's institutionalization, the drug overdose of his youngest son, the loss of a ranch in a tax dispute, a nervous breakdown in 1976, and early-onset Alzheimer's. By 1980, he was living in near obscurity, relying on aid from SAG's emergency fund. He died on October 15, 1981, at age 71 from heart failure. His estate, depleted by legal battles and healthcare costs, was worth approximately $80,000. He died in a modest apartment in Pasadena, with only a nurse and a faded headshot of himself in character to keep him company. Joe Brooks, who played Trooper Vanderbilt in F Troop at 41, brought endearing chaos to the role of the nearsighted lookout whose vision was comically poor, leading to a series of blunders that made him a fan favorite. Off-screen, Brooks's life was far less light-hearted. He was married to costume designer Phyllis Dean, but their 17-year marriage was plagued by infidelity and long separations due to his inconsistent acting jobs. They divorced in 1975, and he never remarried. Brooks had 2 children, Karen and Michael, with whom he lost contact after a contentious custody battle. Following F Troop, his career languished with only minor roles, leading to depression and a brief stay in a rehabilitation facility in the early 1980s. Financial mismanagement and gambling addiction left him nearly bankrupt in his later years. He lived alone in a small apartment in Burbank, supported partially by Social Security and rare convention appearances. Joe Brooks passed away on December 5, 2007, at the age of 83 due to complications from congestive heart failure. His estate, diminished by years of poor investments and legal troubles, was estimated at only $45,000. Jimmy Horan, known for portraying the quietly comical Trooper Duddleson on F Troop, had a career that flickered in the margins of Hollywood. He was 39 when he took on the recurring role, often seen fumbling with props or standing awkwardly behind the leads, embodying the overlooked misfit. Off-camera, Horan endured a tumultuous life. He was married once, to waitress-turned-actress Sheila Vance, but the marriage unraveled after only 3 years due to his drinking and long absences. The union produced a daughter, Emily, whom he rarely saw after moving to Los Angeles full-time. Horan's post-F Troop work consisted of bit parts and uncredited roles, leading him to take night security jobs to pay rent. A failed business venture in the 80s wiped out his savings. He suffered a nervous breakdown in 1989 and spent several months in a psychiatric facility. He died alone in a hospice in 1997 at the age of 71, from liver failure exacerbated by years of alcohol abuse. At the time of his death, his estate was valued at approximately $18,000. John Mitchum, who took on the role of Trooper Hoffenmuller in F Troop at age 46, brought a quirky charm to the German-speaking soldier whose language barrier became a recurring gag. Despite being the brother of Hollywood icon Robert Mitchum, John never managed to escape his sibling's shadow. Married twice, first to Donna Parks, who left him in 1968 due to his erratic behavior and obsessive focus on being taken seriously as an actor, and later to nurse Helen Royce, whom he married in 1972 and stayed with until his death. His personal life was quiet but tinged with sadness. He had one son, Peter, who died of a drug overdose in 1994, a tragedy that reportedly broke him. Professionally, Mitchum was typecast and struggled to find meaningful work beyond supporting roles in westerns and crime dramas. In his final years, he wrote poetry no one published and battled emphysema, likely brought on by decades of smoking. He passed away on November 29, 2001, at the age of 82. His modest estate, consisting mostly of his residuals and a small home in Van Nuys, was estimated at $160,000. Andrew Duggan, who appeared as Major Duncan in F Troop at age 41, carried an air of authority and discomfort that suited his character, a commanding officer whose visits to Fort Courage often caused more confusion than clarity. Known for his stern screen presence, Duggan was typecast in authority roles but longed for more nuanced parts. His personal life mirrored the stoicism of his characters. He married Elizabeth Fraser, a Broadway actress, in 1954, and the couple had 3 children, Thomas, Regina, and Mark, but the marriage grew cold over time, marred by emotional distance and Duggan's long absences. A brief affair in the mid-70s almost ended the marriage, but they stayed together in name only. His career declined steadily after the 1970s, and he turned to directing small theater productions that rarely made money. In 1984, Duggan was diagnosed with throat cancer, which led to his retirement. He died on May 15, 1988, at the age of 64. His estate, once bolstered by a solid income, had dwindled to about $300,000, much of which went toward medical bills and supporting his estranged family. Ed Prentice, who played Colonel Jupiter Parmenter in F Troop at the age of 57, brought a stiff, formal charm to the often chaotic frontier outpost. Though the role was small, his gravitas gave a believable edge to military order amidst the series' slapstick mayhem. Behind the scenes, Prentice lived a life marked by quiet tragedy. He was married to radio actress Judith Ames for 22 years before their bitter divorce in 1965. The couple had 3 children, David, Helen, and Matthew, but all later became estranged due to Prentice's long absences and stern temperament. His post-F Troop career faltered, and he retreated into radio work before fading into obscurity. Prentice battled alcoholism in the 1970s and was diagnosed with emphysema in 1984. He lost contact with many former colleagues and lived reclusively in a modest home in Iowa. In his later years, he was plagued by regret over his failed relationships and missed opportunities. He died alone in 1992 at the age of 83 from respiratory failure. His estate, largely consisting of residuals and a modest investment portfolio, was estimated at just $300,000, most of which went unclaimed due to disputes among his heirs. Sarah Marshall took on the role of Lady Cynthia in F Troop at age 33, portraying a refined British aristocrat who comically clashed with frontier absurdities. Her poise and comedic timing left a memorable mark despite her brief appearance. Off-screen, Sarah's life followed a more tragic arc. The daughter of actors, she married British stage director Alan Bromley in 1962, but the union dissolved in 1971 following years of mutual infidelity and public scandal. They had one son, Oliver, who struggled with addiction and spent much of his adult life estranged from his mother. Sarah's post-F Troop roles dwindled, leading to sporadic work in stage productions and minor TV appearances. Her financial struggles grew worse in the 1980s as health issues, including chronic arthritis and depression, limited her mobility and social engagement. Though she made a modest comeback with a few guest roles in the 90s, she never fully escaped the shadow of her earlier fame. She passed away in 2014 at age 80 due to cancer. At her death, her estate was valued at approximately $150,000, with most of her belongings donated to a local theater foundation. Don Rickles, who played the rambunctious and chaotic bald eagle at age 39, injected F Troop with his signature insult-driven humor. As a renegade member of the Hekui tribe, his scenes were often improvised, adding unpredictability and sharp wit to the show's dynamic. Though Rickles became a comedy legend, his personal life was marked by deep sorrows. He married Barbara Sklar in 1965, and they remained together until his death, but the marriage endured long stretches of cold silence and unspoken grief following the 1996 death of their son, Larry, from pneumonia complications. Their daughter, Mindy, struggled with depression and distanced herself from showbiz. Rickles' humor often masked lifelong anxiety and self-doubt. While he continued performing well into his 80s, the physical toll of diabetes and heart disease began to isolate him. He died in 2017 at age 90 from kidney failure. Despite the heartbreaks, Rickles remained beloved by peers and fans alike. His estate, largely from touring, royalties, and Vegas investments, was estimated at $5 million. Who is your favorite character from F Troop? How does it feel knowing that some of the actors are no longer with us? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoy this type of content, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell to stay updated on future uploads. Thank you for your support.